I found my sister's wedding dress in my boyfriend's apartment. The sentence still feels like fiction, even though it started with my hands trembling on a zipper. One second, I was hunting for an extra blanket in his closet. The next, a cascade of white lace was staring back at me like a ghost that knew my full name. The soft gleam of satin hit my eyes, and before my mind caught up, I'd already recognized it. The delicate pearl stitching around the bodice. The faint lipstick smudge Emily swore she'd fix before the ceremony. My stomach lurched. My breath came out as a hissed question to a room that had no intention of answering. There was no logical reason for that gown to be here. Emily lived 3 hours away, her wedding scheduled for 8 weeks from now. She'd sent me daily updates, ivory roses, soft gold invitations, everything drenched in optimism. And yet here her dress hung, inside my boyfriend Alex's closet, draped in protective plastic like a confession posed as fabric. My pulse hammered as I reached out, fingertips hovering just short of contact, terrified that touching it would make the absurdity real. I slid the garment bag halfway down, heart in my throat. The scent hit first, floral detergent mixed with something sweeter, her perfume, without question. My brain broke into desperate bargaining. Maybe dry cleaner storage, maybe an insane coincidence, maybe my own sabotage. But there was that tiny rust-colored thread I'd sewn into the hem for luck. A private signature between sisters. No coincidence could reproduce that. I backed away so fast I hit the dresser. The mirror above it showed me a stranger, wide-eyed, furious, absurdly polite about having her world set on fire. My first instinct was to call Emily right there. My second was to burn the entire apartment down and start society over. Instead, I sat on the carpet, the garment bag still unzipped, and whispered to the dress, like it might blink and explain itself. "Why are you here?" Nothing, obviously. Just silence thick enough to choke on. The tick of his wall clock dragged time through molasses. The apartment was too neat, his version of order, somehow mocking me with its innocence. I shoved the bag closed, propped it back on the rack, and stared at it until the logic of reality bent out of shape. Alex chose that moment to text, "Be home soon, grab Thai for dinner." An ordinary sentence that instantly sounded like a death threat to my sense of normal. I replied something equally banal, "Perfect," then paced until my heartbeat tired itself out. Half of me wanted to confront him head-on the second he walked in. The other half wanted to pretend nothing existed until I figured out which disaster this storyline belonged to. When the door finally clicked open and he stepped inside carrying takeout bags and humming, I felt the word betrayal slide under my skin like ice. "Hey," he said, casual, oblivious. "You okay? You look weird." "Weird?" My voice came out higher than intended. "Just tired, long day." I forced a smile so brittle a whisper could have shattered it. He handed me chopsticks, began unpacking food. I watched him move, confident, kind, familiar, and every gesture screamed innocence. The same innocence that now felt impossible. We ate small talk. He told me about a coworker's engagement. I almost choked on rice. Each mention of weddings turned my stomach inside out. When he ducked into the bathroom after dinner, I stared at the closed door and mouthed the question I couldn't yet shout. "What do you know about that dress?" That night, while he scrolled through streaming options, I excused myself to grab pajamas, slipped into the closet, and snapped quick photos of the gown. Proof. My hand shook so violently the images blurred, but at least they existed. Evidence that I wasn't hallucinating betrayal. Later in bed, I snapped quick photos of the gown. Alex fell asleep instantly, his breathing steady. I lay awake, eyes fixed on the ceiling, inventorying every moment of our relationship for anomalies. The weekends he claimed to visit old college friends, the random texts he ignored with vague apologies, the package that arrived last month, labeled event supplies. Suddenly, each innocent fragment rearranged into darker patterns. Near midnight, I reached for my phone and, Heart ricocheting. Texted my sister. Hey, random question. You still keeping your wedding dress at home? She replied within seconds, cheerful as ever. Yep, in my closet. Why? I stared at the message until the letters blurred. Then I typed, just checking something, and tossed the phone aside. My chest felt hollow, filled with static. Someone was lying. Maybe Emily, maybe Alex, maybe both. And I was trapped in the middle of a story that had been quietly writing itself behind my back. Through the dark, Alex murmured my name in his sleep and reached for my hand. I let him touch me, motionless, staring at the sliver of closet door he'd forgotten to close all the way. Beneath that narrow shadow, lace glimmered faintly like an exposed nerve, waiting for the next morning to detonate. Morning scraped through the blinds long before I was ready to face it. The apartment smelled faintly of cold takeout and betrayal. Every inch of my skin buzzed with the need to do something, to move, to make sense. Alex was still asleep beside me, arm draped across his chest, like someone confident of his virtue. I slipped out of bed, phone in hand, and stared again at the photos I'd taken the night before. In daylight, they looked worse. No chance of illusion, no trick of shadows. The stitching, the pearl pattern, even the faint lipstick mark were perfectly clear. I could hear Emily's laugh in my head, that trademark mixture of amusement and authority. She'd been planning her wedding since she was 12. Her dress was sacred ground. So why did one that looked exactly like it hang 10 feet from where I slept? The obvious answer, the horrifying cinematic one, kept swirling through me, tugging at every nerve. Because he's with her. Before panic made me dizzy, I decided I needed verification from a sober witness. Still in pajamas, I knocked on our neighbor Hannah's door. She blinked at me, hair in messy curls, mug in hand. You okay? You look like you saw a ghost. I might have. I scrolled to the photo, held the screen out to her. Does this look familiar? She squinted. That's gorgeous. Wait, didn't your sister post a picture of her dress last week? Oh my God, it's identical. There it was, confirmation. My brain short-circuited into cold clarity. It's in Alex's closet. Her eyes widened. No, no way. I nodded once. She set down her mug slowly. You gonna ask him? I don't know, I admitted. I don't even know what question comes first. Back inside, Alex was awake, scrolling on his phone. He smiled at me like morning existed, full of normal. Coffee? Sure, I said. My voice sounded like it belonged to someone else. I waited until he turned toward the kitchen before following. Hey, I began, careful, conversational. Weird question. Why is there a wedding dress in your closet? He froze, mug halfway to the counter. What? His laugh came out forced. What are you talking about? You heard me. He set the cup down, eyes darting toward the hallway. You went through my stuff? Yes, I said. Because my sister's wedding dress is hanging next to your shirts. Color drained from his face. The silence stretched so thin I could hear the hum of the refrigerator. It's not your sister's, he said finally, voice barely audible. Then whose is it? He swallowed. My cousin's. I waited. The one who lives in Spain? She sent it here to store. Long story. Does your cousin wear my sister's size? Her custom hem? Her perfume? The questions came sharp, quick, unstoppable. He stared at me, trapped, and then something broke behind his eyes. Okay, he said miserably. It's Emily's, but it's not what you think. That she's marrying you instead of her fiancé? That's a creative starting point. No. He stepped forward, hands up. She asked me to hide it for a day. She and her fiancé had some sort of dress bad luck superstition. I don't know. She thought he might sneak a peek, so she brought it here. My brain stuttered through disbelief. She lives 3 hours away. She had a work thing here last week. I didn't want to mention it because I knew it would sound weird. I watched him, trying to read sincerity through the panic. Every piece of him looked nervous, but not deceitful. And yet the explanation sagged under its own weight. You expect me to believe she just dropped it off? I swear that's all it is, he said. Call her if you don't believe me. So I did. right there, in front of him. Emily answered on the second ring, cheerful as always. "Morning, sis." I forced each word out slowly. "Hey, quick question. Did you drop your wedding dress off at Alex's?" There was a pause, less than a second, but long enough. Then she exhaled. "Oh, you found it." The floor seemed to tilt under me. "So it's true?" "Yes, but not for any crazy reason," she said quickly. "I didn't want Mark to see it, and Alex offered to keep it. He's got that climate-controlled closet, remember? I was going to tell you after the wedding. I figured you'd make fun of me for being superstitious." I sank into the nearest chair. "You realize what this looked like?" Emily laughed nervously. "Oh God, no wonder you sound angry." "Wow, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't think." "No one did," I said softly, glancing at Alex, who looked equal parts guilty and relieved. When I hung up, he whispered, "Told you." I wanted to scream or laugh, or both. "You could have just said something." "I know," he said. "It was supposed to be a surprise, helping her out. I didn't think you'd ever—" "Go through your closet?" I finished for him. "Congratulations. I'm unpredictable too." For a long moment, neither of us moved. Finally, he said, "So, we okay?" I stared at him, at the stupidly innocent coffee mug in his hand, and felt exhaustion settle deeper than anger. "Eventually," I said, "but next time, no more secrets that involve other people's wedding dresses. The symbolism is just asking for trouble." He laughed, weakly, relief leaking into the sound. I managed to smile, but inside I promised myself something else. That from now on, before panic or assumptions or trust, I'd always go looking for the truth first. Because sometimes it really is a ghost hiding in a closet. And sometimes it's just poor communication wrapped in lace.